Hey YouTube, this is part 2 of Handicappable Love. As I titled in the first video, Handicappable Part 1, I didn't really touch on what I wanted to too much. I just wanted to gripe on what I was dealing with, and in this video I'll go into a little bit more detail. I'm a little sick and tired of the same responses over and over and over again. I know I said before, and I know you're probably thinking, well, Neil, give me an example of those responses. Well, here's one. Guy A, or girl A meets guy B or girl B. Girl A or guy A happens to be disabled, be it with lost-strain canes or a amputated limb or in a wheelchair or anything like that. Maybe even blind, maybe deaf. Introduce themselves. They know each other for a number of years, yada, 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 yada. Eventually, the disabled person grows feelings for this other person of the opposite sex. And the response they get is a response they get of someone who hasn't really known the second person, person B, doesn't really know person A that much. The response usually is something along the lines of, well, I think I feel better if we were just friends, because I don't really know if everything, below your waist actually works. You know how disheartening and like damn near disrespectful a statement like that is? Yes, I myself have gotten that statement made to me. That was actually one of the first things I actually ever had. The statement was made to me, does everything actually work down below? Why in the world would you make a statement like that? Why in the world would you think it necessary to ask me that kind of question? It wasn't an initial question, thank God. It wasn't like the initial icebreaker or anything like that. But why even bring it up? I mean, but this is the first date. Don't really know you that, I might know you well or I might not. But, based on a few conversations. And for you to just openly ask that kind of question without even, getting to know me personally, if you don't or if you do, if you do know me well enough, then you should know that it does. But if you don't, then why even pose, don't pose a question like that, because it's kind of not only disrespectful, but it's kind of not right. Kind of all rolled into one. And to see that there are so many people that, are ignorant to ask that kind of question, to pose that kind of question to men and women that are disabled, is just, it's just not right. Being disabled myself, and, from birth, and I don't have a problem with, little kids and adults asking me the question, why are you in the chair, or why are you using canes and everything like that. I don't have a problem answering that question at all. I have no problem explaining the disability that I have, explaining the disease I was born with. I have no problem explaining that, because I think by educating people and by them understanding what I go through on a daily basis, that elevates them to the ideals and the struggles that I go through on a daily basis. And, honestly, I have no problem doing that. When it comes to relationships and things like that, and when someone has a nerve to ask a kind of question like that, and, when you get a response, do you want to go out with me, or do you think it'd be fine if you go out on one date? Not even a full date, just one date. And someone says, well, and that other person says, well, I don't know, because, I consider you just a friend. And they're thinking that. And they give you that response just based on your current situation. Everything else with you might be fine. You might be the richest person, or not necessarily the richest person, but well off, and you're living on your own. You don't necessarily drive the nicest car in the world, but you drive a pretty nice car. You carry yourself well. You practice good hygiene. You get your shots when they're necessary. You're well traveled and everything. You would think that people wouldn't make that necessary judgment and jump to that automatic gun for no necessary reason and say, well, I'm going to put on the brakes just based on the fact that I see you're incapable mobility-wise, and therefore I'm going to make the just judgment automatically that there's no way that there's anything that can transpire based on both of us going out, just based on that single fact of your inability to either walk or see or hear or whatever. And it's unfortunate that to this day, in the year 2007, that something like the ADA, the Americans with Disability Act, well, not that it should do anything to affect relationships, because honestly it shouldn't. If it did, that'd be just bad. But you would think with programs like, with acts like the ADA, that things wouldn't exist. You would think with so many other things going on in the world that people wouldn't still have this judgmental, and it's everyday people. It's not just, the same people who would ask you what your disability is and why you're in a chair, or why you're blind, or why you're deaf. Those same kind of people might turn around if you develop feelings for that person. Who knows? If you do, they might be the same person who just openly says, well, I just want to be friends, just because, again, your inability to do whatever. And it's unfortunate. It really is. It's unfortunate that it's constantly persistent and over and over and over again. And, I see it with a lot of my friends, because I don't just have able-bodied friends. I have a lot of friends that are disabled just like myself, and in different varies of mobility, be them deaf, be them blind, be them, incapable of moving their lower limbs, whatever. I have many friends in different levels of mobility, and all of them are capable of dating someone who's able-bodied and has not necessarily no imperfections, but no disability, maybe glasses, but no disability whatsoever. And maybe to see that there are some organizations out there who actually, there's actually an organization in my area, a dating service, if you want to call it that, that has a picture. I would post their website on here, but I actually can't stand the organization. I'll explain why in a second. They have a picture that portrays a young guy in a wheelchair, and he's holding, and there's what looks like an able-bodied girl holding his hand on the brochure. And if you're a disabled person and you see this brochure, you see this picture of these smiling people, it's not a doctored picture, it's an actual drawing. It's not like a Photoshop or anything like that. These two people looking like they're in love or in a relationship, holding hands. You would think by seeing that picture that, this is a dating service that links able-bodied people with people with disabilities. And you would think on paper, this is a great organization. Maybe this will be my opportunity to meet somebody who understands what I'm going through, who won't be ignorant and ask me questions that I don't think are necessarily right, who understands what I'm going through, won't be ignorant to anything, and just understands me already a little bit, or at least understands what I'm going through. And when you find out more about this organization, it actually turns out this organization, in fact, the one that's actually in my area, is actually the exact opposite. They actually pair, and honestly, let me first say that I have no problem with persons with disabilities dating each other. In fact, one of my best friends and his fiancée they both have MS. They both are in deep and passionate love with each other. And, I wish all the best for them. I'm going to their wedding. I'm doing his bachelor party. Believe me, he's one of my best friends. And I have no problem at all with people with disabilities dating each other. What I do have a problem with is an organization that portrays that there's a possibility, it gives this facade that, able-bodied people can date people with disabilities. And you know what? Turns out you go with the organization that's actually just a dating service for matching people with disabilities. And again, I have no problem with that. By all means, let the organization exist. Just don't have a picture that looks like an able-bodied person and a person with a disability can be in a relationship, and then you find out later on that that's not what the organization actually is. An organization like that really, not saying that they should have two people in a wheelchair, or a person with a walking stick and a person with an earpiece in their ear holding hands, because, that might be demeaning, and it actually is. But, I think false advertising is sad, to be honest with you. I think that needs to be changed. I don't think organizations like that should have that kind of false advertising. Just getting back to what I said earlier, to finish my point, this whole idea of handicappable dating and dating, being with disability, I will be honest, it is difficult. It is difficult to interact with people who you aren't really familiar with, or people even who you are familiar with, and say you try to develop a relationship with them, and already have something working against you being your disability. It's difficult having that working against you, and it's unfortunate that a lot of people you might consider your friends, already knock you down a peg and keep you at that friend level and think of you, but nothing more of that, just based on the fact you have a disability. It's sad, it's unfortunate, and it's the truth. And I think that needs to change. I'm interested to see what other people like to think. Subscribers, people who see this video tagged or whatever. I'm interested to hear what other people want to say. So please, Handicappable Part 2. Who knows, I might do a Part 3. Who knows? If I'm up to it. But this is Part 1. Or no, this is Part 2. Sulk on it. Think about it. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you think that organizations like that I spoke about before should exist. Tell me if you agree with the statement that I made before about previously regarding just irregular and just stupid statements made. Obviously, no one will agree with that, but I'm just wondering what people think about statements made like that. And yeah, I want to get some dialogue on. So let me know what you think. Peace.